Hi everyone, this is Ruben Yap. I am the COO of Zcoin, and today I'm going to give you an update of what we've been working on in the privacy space. A lot of you have seen our weekly dev updates, and we've been talking about Sigma and Lelantus, and many of you have asked, well, what is Sigma, what is Lelantus, and those are pretty good questions. Today I'm just going to give like a brief overview of what are the problems we're trying to solve with Sigma and Lelantus, and also share with you how far we have gone through our development. Now, just to give you some context or a bit of history, Zcoin is actually named after the Zerocoin protocol, which is the protocol that we use to provide privacy, and it allows people to destroy coins and then later redeem them for brand new coins with no previous transaction history. And this is pretty different than, let's say, the strategies used by coins such as Monero or Mimblewimble technology, which is more about hiding your transaction among decoys. So it's kind of like hiding in the crowd, while sort of with zero knowledge proof type of systems like Zerocoin and Zerocash, which is used in Zcash, it's more like teleporting, like you see it appear in from here and then suddenly appears in a different place. So we feel that zero knowledge proof systems are superior than decoy based systems. There's actually a really good talk about this called Satoshi Has No Clothes, so please Google it up, by Ian Mears, which explains the kind of weaknesses behind decoy based systems. Now, so we started with Zerocoin, and it does provide really good anonymity. It does allow burning and redeeming, but it has three main sort of drawbacks, and the main ones being, first of all, it requires trusted setup. The second is that the proof sizes are really large. That means it occupies a lot of space on the blockchain. Thirdly, it requires fixed denominations. What does fixed denominations mean? Meaning that I need to burn coins in fixed baskets. As you can see here, currently Zcoin has 5 baskets of denominations: 1, 10, 25, 50, and 100. So if I want to do something like 30 coins, I would need to burn 5 1 coins and also burn 125 coin. So you realize that it's quite wasteful, because wouldn't it better to be just burning it in one go? This is not possible to certain technical requirements in anonymity, but we'll get back to that later. So this is the fixed denomination problem, and the 3 main problems. Just to recap, the first one is trusted setup, the second one are proof sizes, the large proof sizes, and the third one is the requirement to use fixed denomination. So this is where Sigma comes in, and we've been talking about Sigma since 2017, and it's been one of our goals to sort of improve Zerocoin. Now we have other projects that have been developing on improving Zerocoin, but more on not really changing the underlying cryptography. It's still basically Zerocoin. It's just optimizing certain parts of it. Sigma is actually it uses different types of cryptography. It's almost like a brand new system, but it still allows the same burning and redeeming. It just use a different type of cryptography, and it solves many of the problems of Zerocoin. And what does Sigma solve? It solves 2 main problems. The first one being require a removal of trusted setup, and the second one is proof sizes. It dramatically reduces the proof sizes, the size that it occupies on the blockchain. So let's just take a quick comparison between Sigma and Zerocoin. So first of all, for those of you who don't know what is trusted setup is not a desirable thing. It basically means that you have to trust someone to generate certain initial parameters and destroy those parameters correctly. If they weren't destroyed correctly, or there's a compromise in the system or the cryptography, or it was somehow backdoored, or the ceremony was not done correctly, what that actually does that is that there's an effective backdoor into the system where you can create coins out of thin air, and in some cases also breach anonymity. So you really have to trust that the ceremony was done correctly, and that's why it's called trusted setup. Zcash, you know, although has many amazing properties, it solves many of the issues of privacy systems. It's really quick, it's really small, and it's really anonymous. But one of the biggest sort of criticisms of Zcash is the problem of trusted setup. Because when you think of blockchain is all about, you know, don't trust, verify, and like, you know, you don't need to place your trust in something. And the whole concept of trusted setup kind of goes against that vein. I mean, I could talk about this for an hour, and I probably think there's a video somewhere that talks about trusted setup. But the basic idea is that, you know, there's this sort of ceremony that needs to have been carried out correctly, and if it didn't, there's a backdoor. Zerocoin does have a trusted setup. It's a lot less controversial because we actually, instead of doing our own trusted setup ceremony, we use certain parameters that were used for an academic challenge some 25 years ago. You can read about this over here, and you know, it talks about the RSA factoring challenge, and it was like made in 1991. No one knew that it was going to be used for you know, a cryptocurrency. It was just an academic challenge. There was no incentive to backdoor it, and we didn't. Most importantly, we had no part in this ceremony, so it's effectively third party. You don't have to trust the Zcoin team that it was correctly done. But then again, it is still a form of trusted setup, and that's not great. And Sigma, because it uses totally different cryptography, does not require the trusted setup. And this Sigma is actually based out of paper, you know, something like 2014 and 2015. It's not a new paper, but no one else has implemented it yet. It solves, like, removes the trusted setup problem, and is designed by really top cryptographers, Jens Groth and Markov Koolwijs. Jens Groth now is working for Dfinity, but he's actually one of the, I would say, the fathers of a lot of these privacy systems, even ZK snarks. And Markov Koolwijs is currently working for IOHK, if I'm not mistaken, but also a professor at the University of Edinburgh. So these are really top level guys. So that's the thing. It removes trusted setup. What is the second thing that's really good about Sigma is that the proof sizes for Sigma proofs are really small. Remember, Zerocoin proof sizes are about 25 kilobytes, and that's actually 50 times larger than a typical Bitcoin transaction, and it's pretty large. And if you have like thousands of transactions per block, it really adds a lot of bloat. But Sigma proofs, Sigma transactions on the other hand are about 1+ kilobytes. So maybe it's about 3 times larger than a Bitcoin transaction, and it's actually a lot more reasonable to store it. So we feel that Sigma actually does have really good properties for scaling, and on top of that, most importantly, it does not require trusted setup. So where are we on Sigma right now? We did promise that it will be sometime in 2019, and it looks that we are set for this. We plan to launch the testnet probably near the end of the month, or maybe the first week of March, so everyone can give it a shot. And it really solves a lot of the main issues with Zerocoin. Now, so what is the issue? Well, if Sigma is so great, why do you want to, develop Lelantus? What is Lelantus? Now, remember that last thing that we talked about, the requirement for fixed denominations. Now, this is actually really important. It has many implications on privacy, and also implications on usability, and also scalability. Now, just to sort of illustrate, what does Lelantus solve? Lelantus is actually kind of it builds on Sigma. So if you take a look here, we combine different techniques of the Zerocoin protocol, one of many proofs and confidential transactions to build this new system called Lelantus. And Lelantus is actually named after the Titan Greek god of the unseen, so it's quite apt. And just to show you, I'm going to show you this paper. And this is the PowerPoint slide that Aram and I have made to present it to cryptographers to explain it, in about half an hour or so. So, as you can see, a lot of advanced math, but Lelantus solves the remaining problem with Zerocoin, which is the requirement to burn coins in fixed denomination. So remember, we have this 1, 10, 25, 50, 100 thing. With Lelantus, we don't care. I can burn any amount. So if I want to burn, let's say I wanted to burn 30 coins, previously I had to do like 6 mints or 6 burns. And then when I redeem them, I would need to do 6 spends, which is like 6 times 25, right? Or even with Sigma, still 6 times 1.5. With Lelantus, I only need to do 1 burn. It doesn't matter what amount. It's just like, let's say something like I want to burn 57.36 coins, and I can do that. I just burn them in 1 mint, and then when I redeem, I don't have to redeem the full amount. I can redeem it partially while preserving anonymity and not showing which mint it came from. And this is a very important concept. That means when I burn, let's say 57.56 coins, I want to redeem 0.3 coins. Let's say with Sigma or Zerocoin, what happens? Like, let's say I would have to spend, now I have to bring back all those coins back into the base layer. So let's say if I have a 50 mint, I would need to redeem the entire 15, take that amount out, and then re-mint the change to go back into Zerocoin. And that's really, really wasteful because it requires several Zerocoin spans or Sigma spans, and it also requires several new mints. With Lelantus, I burn 53.56 coins and I redeem 0.23 coins, and I don't have to remint any change, and it's really good and flexible in that regard. I basically almost have the same feature set as a Zcash or ZK-Snarks without the sort of drawbacks that Zcash has. So this is really important, and we use really what we call standard cryptography. So let's just take a look. We're still verifying all of this, but I think it should be relatively correct. How our technology Lelantus compares with leading market alternatives, and you can see Monero per transaction. Every transaction you're mixing with 11 other people or so. With Zerocash, you have the really high anonymity sets 2 to the power of 24. With Lelantus, it's slightly less, 2 to the power of 16, 2 to the power of 18. We hope to increase it further, but we think that it still offers really high anonymity sets. And you can see we don't have Lelantus doesn't have trusted setup. There's no proof. There's what we call relatively small proof sizes. Even Zerocash is 2 kilobytes. We're 1 to 3 kilobytes, and we're all competitive with the major systems out there. Proof generation time is basically how fast does it take to do a private transaction, sending a private transaction. And Zerocash used to take 30 to 40 seconds, but with the new update of sapling, it takes about 5 seconds. Monero is less than 3 seconds, and we are competitive at about 1.5 to 3 seconds. Verification time is how fast other nodes can check the proofs, and this is where we are slightly not so good. We are slightly slower when we use batch verification techniques, but you have to realize that it's still a huge improvement over Zerocoin. Zerocoin takes about 300 to 400 ms, so it's a big improvement over there, and we still feel that it's enough to be scalable for the types of transactions, or even to enable privacy on by default. The other thing here is memory requirements, like how much memory does your computer need to process those private transactions. It's less than 10 megabytes. And most importantly, the cryptographic assumptions. What does that mean? That means, what are the cryptographic building blocks that build the systems? So, Lelantus is using something called DDH, Monero is like, Ring 6 and all that. Is really stuff that has existed in many areas of industry, and it's not likely there's a problem. The cryptography is very well understood and well studied. Zero Cash uses something called the knowledge of exponents assumptions. It's called KEA1, and there's kind of like some controversy whether these assumptions are really sound. And at the same time, the cryptography is relatively new, and if you see, like at the recent news, there was a huge Zcash bug that has existed since its inception. That means it was live for 2 years, and that was because first of all, Zcash and Zero Cash is very, very complicated cryptography, and that's not necessarily a good thing. It means that only a few people can understand it, a few people can audit it, and it's a lot easier to make mistakes because it's so complicated. Just to sort of put it into context, the principles of Monero, the principles of Lelantus or Sigma or Zerocoin, you can probably explain it to someone with cryptographic knowledge in about half an hour or less or so. With Zero Cash, it took our cryptography about a week to fully understand all the concepts and how the math work within Zero Cash, and that's like with a PhD cryptographer, and that's how complicated it is. And we feel that that's one of the reasons why the bug could creep in, because it was actually used as one of the justifications as to why they thought that the bug was not taken advantage of, because very few people understand it, which is actually the whole point. It's not a good thing. So yeah, that's one of the really important things on cryptographic assumptions. So where are we right now? Why are we doing Sigma when we have Lelantus coming, and why are we spending both? We're doing research and development on both. So first of all, Sigma, the cryptographic library, is already ready. We are in the final stages of implementation. Lelantus, we are building the cryptographic building blocks. We built like certain libraries, and we hope to finish that definitely by this year or even earlier. Maybe in the next couple of months. But it is very hard to estimate how long it will take, because this is really new territory. With Sigma, because it has a similar setup to Zerocoin, we can actually reuse a lot of the code of Zerocoin, and basically we can reuse a lot of the code of Zerocoin and just apply it to Sigma. With Lelantus, we really have to overhaul the whole thing. We actually estimate that we'll probably get Lelantus like fully ready, or fully launched maybe by 2020. We are hoping to finish by the end of the year, but we really don't want to rush this. Because we can't afford to make mistakes again. Now with Sigma, it already solves most of the issues, scalability, no trusted setup, and we can apply, we can have it live in 1 or 2 months, and we feel that would tide us over and give us the time to build Lelantus properly. But this is something that we are really excited about. Lelantus is effectively a cryptographic innovation, and we have this paper that lelantus.io. If you wish to read it, it requires cryptographic knowledge, and we're actually in the process of rejigging it so that's a lot easier for cryptographers to understand. But I just want to highlight that this is an academic level paper, meaning that it's not a white paper. It's not just, a lot of people say they come up with a white paper and it's just just pure explanation of ideas with a few math of bits of maths inside there to just show that their idea works. This is on a different level. This is an academic level paper with all the full mathematics that enables it, and on top of that, the security proofs that prove that the math work. And that's really, really important because, again, the Zcash bug kind of crept in because for that portion, they did not have a security proof. So, the security proof just ensures that the math that is described in the paper is correct. So this is basically kind of sums up, what we've been working on the privacy protocol side. We've been doing a lot of other stuff as well. But I guess that's time for a different video, and just letting you know that we have Martin that's working on the Sigma. He has a PhD. Aram has been helping us optimizing Sigma, who is our cryptographer, and we have also Panu and Puta, who are also working almost full-time on Sigma, and right now with Levon and Aram are developing the basic cryptographic building blocks of Lelantus, and once Sigma is almost ready to go, we will start bringing in Martin and redeploying our resources to accelerate Lelantus. So just sort of give an overview of how we have allocated our manpower. So that's it for me. If you have any questions, I know this is a bit meaty and a bit technical, but we are really, really excited about Lelantus. I mean, if you speak to Aram about it, he's really proud of it. And when we had the validation from Jens Groth and some like the top cryptographers, that they like the idea, they think it works, that was a serious validation that we've managed to come up with a new privacy system that solves many of the challenges that privacy protocols have today. So before I sign off, this is something that you see, this chapter, extending Lelantus for direct anonymous payments. This is something that's a bit controversial. Basically, it would allow, so remember in Zerocoin, when we burn a coin, we always have to redeem it back to the base layer, and Lelantus is the same. That means even if I burn 500 coins, if I want to send it to someone, I need to reveal the amount. I need to show that I've redeemed a certain amount and it goes to a certain address. Now to allow like complete anonymity, you even want to hide the transaction values, and you want basically hide sender, receiver, and the amounts. It's kind of like in Zcash, where it's like a shielded transaction where everyone knows that the transaction has happened but no other details of it. And this is really the ultimate anonymity, right? That everyone can verify that a transaction has happened but no other details. That's pretty good. But what this sacrifices is something called supply auditability, meaning that you no longer can make sure that the supply, how many coins are there in existence. If there's a bug, if there's a problem, like for example, if the Zcash bug, someone had compromised it, they could create coins out of thin air and no one knows about it. Even now, like, the Zcash people aren't really sure how many, whether this bug that has existed for 2 years was actually exploited or not, due to the nature of the system. So we have to be very careful about enabling this. So right now our current plan is to deploy Lelantus without this direct anonymous payment, still allowing very high anonymity. We think it's good enough, but we feel that we probably need more time to expand on this idea. It'll be nice to have some cryptographic proof to prove the amount of supply inside the burnt amount, so that we know that no hacks are happening. And if we can probably do that, it'll make a lot more sense to enable this as well. So yep, I think that's enough of talking from me. I'll be probably making another couple of videos covering other elements of the development, but just wanted to focus on privacy right now. Thank you very much. Bye.